I used to get really excited about going to the record. Sometimes I would just look at records and be like, wow, I want to try and buy that record. I don't know how you do that now. I guess there's still a way to do it, but...
Right. Well, the other thing, too, is, that I grew up in a small town, so, like, there wasn't a lot of shows that came through. And when you got records back then, there was this whole, like, mysterious thing about it. Like,
yeah.
You couldn't go on the internet and, like, search and find out everything you wanted to know about this band and see everything. There's something about work. You had no idea. You had no idea whether they ate babies on their own time. You know what I mean? Another newer band that actually made me finally, not newer now, but newer as opposed to that made me finally say I'm not a mainstream person because this is kind of the type of stuff I would want to do is probably the Helicopters.
That's a good one. The first time I got a Hanoi Rocks record, I almost forced myself to like it at first because I just thought I really liked what the band was all about. I liked the androgynous angle, but I liked that they were doing, they had a mix of bluesy punk and reggae and rock and roll and calypso and all these different styles.
I definitely agree with that stuff. Roky Erickson, for one. Pretty much everything. I like all of his, so I like all the Alien stuff and and obviously the earlier 13th Floor Elevator stuff is great. That stuff too.
Yeah, I mean Hanoi Rocks was
Andy McCoy.
What can you say about him? I mean, just did what he wanted to and did it awesome.
Yeah. He's a psycho. Those are the type of people that put out awesome music.
Yeah, but those records really, those were like the first records I remember really, dramatically I had already kind of crossed over into the punk genre, and then it was almost like I remember taking heat. Like nobody amongst the people that I was growing up with, nobody really knew who they were.
Then you have Lords of the New Church as the dark side of Hanoi Rock.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sort of, they're connected.
Yeah.
They're sort of incestuous. But that band really, had a major impact on me. Like it was okay to be a theatrical band like that, and you could be a theatrical band like that and still have a ton of credibility.
Alive beneath your blackened grip. The piper plays the song so beautifully. I can't shake these ghosts who bedlam. No, I can't shake these ghosts who bedlam.
Pretty much me growing up, I didn't listen to much music on the radio or anything like that. Like, I was basically what my parents listened to, which was pretty bad. Like Oak Ridge Boys, ABBA, Kenny Rogers, and Eastern European music.
With me, I remember my mom, we had a jukebox in our basement, like a kind of a ghetto-y jukebox, but the only songs that were in it were like Jan and Dean songs and the Beach Boys and like Dionne Warwick and stuff like that. So obviously that impacted me quite a bit.
So I actually liked the Eastern European music and tangos and all that kind of stuff.
My mom was a big Engelbert Humperdinck fan, Tom Jones. I'm not calling it crap, but it was not my thing when you're a young kid.
So it's the only things I can remember when I was little was just the bad ABBA and Oak Ridge Boys. How many times can you listen to Elvira? Yeah, it's pretty comical.
So I instantly, found the stoner kid in the neighborhood, and we hung out, and he turned me on to all his stuff, and that's what it was all downhill from there.
But I remember you bought a guitar from me at the pawn shop.
Harmony
I used to work
Rocket.
at a pawn. Yeah, Harmony Rocket, man. That was a good guitar too. You usually get, a lot of people think you get ripped off in a pawn shop all the time. Not all the time.
I've always went for.
Yeah, that was a cool guitar. I know I gave you a really sweet deal on it.
Actually, you gave me an awesome deal.
Yeah,
you gave me that, and you threw in an Epiphone SG at the time.
See that? Threw it in.
Yeah.
We will bless no illusions. Children of circuitry. Robots no deliverance from this hypocrisy. We're so mechanical, dysfunctional. It's just for the administration. So mechanical, dysfunctional. Against some of the bullshit street, we're trying to eat apathy. Rapists and politicians, nesting behind the screens. Spiders release the venom. In 30 seconds less, we're so mechanical, dysfunctional. It's just for the end of statement. Mechanical, dysfunctional. Get some of the Boston Street. We're driving an apathy. I don't think there's any, punk rocker or rocker our age, doing this, still to this day that wasn't influenced by Kiss. Mine was Hotter Than Hell, the second record. It's one of the first records I bought with my own money.
I was never like Mr. Punk Rock though. Like I always, I listened to, cock rock and metal and, all that stuff and new wave and.
But I was also into the Cars and Blondie. I ran the gamut. Good tunes were good tunes, and I really gravitated toward different drummers at that time. I'm a huge Clem Burke fan. I'm also a huge AC/DC fan.
Graduated into probably more punk rock stuff like Black Flag. Black Flag's a huge influence on me too. Misfits, obviously, early Misfits, very early Misfits.
I definitely had a Judas Priest record next to my Misfits record. It's
just the whole idea of being an outsider and the aggressive side of it was definitely, something that I felt because I grew up in a small town, and I think it was a small town literally where like there was cops like waiting out at the end of my driveway because I looked weird.
Now there's no more room in these glass houses.
really excited about going to the record. Sometimes I would just look at records and be like, wow, I want to try and buy that record. I don't know how you do that now. I guess there's still a way to do it, but.
Right. Well, the other thing too is, that I grew up in a small town, so like there wasn't a lot of shows that came through, and when you got records back then, and there was this whole like mysterious thing about it, like you couldn't go on the internet and like search and find out everything you wanted to know about this band and see everything. There's something about. You had no idea. You had no idea whether they ate babies on their own time. You know what I mean?